se formó. La música con variedad tocamos desde salsa hasta reggaetón. Un vacilón, este es el show de la mañana en el tapón. Son un bombón, tírame remix, Ellie Stone. Esto es el show de la mañana, el show. Esto es el show de la mañana, el show. Esto es el show de la mañana, el show. Esto es el show de la mañana, el show.
Este es el show de la mañana con Elio,
Dianelis y la bandida.
Este es el show de la mañana, el show, ladies and gentlemen. Estamos de regreso. Esta es la última hora. En Vicasí es la última hora. It is the very first segment brought to you by Children's Trust of Alachua County. Yes. Happy New Year, Children's Trust.
Happy New Year, everybody.
And to do that, we have the one and only Marsha Kainer, Executive Director of our Children's Trust of Alachua County. Marsha, how you doing? Besides wonderful.
Well, of course, it's a new year, new beginnings. Time to kick this thing off right.
Yes, reconnect
and just kick butt. It's 2026. Let's go.
I love it. Let's go, baby.
Yes.
Let's make it happen.
Yes.
Wow, and what a great way to do it, that with another wonderful organization that is making a difference within our amazing community and county. And to do that, we're going to introduce a wonderful guest that we have today.
Yes. So thank you for that. You're absolutely correct. We have with us this morning two representatives. I call them the Dream Team from Partnership for Strong Families. And this is an organization that truly is, as you said, Elio, making a difference in this community. It's an organization that's been around a long time. A long time, both here in Alachua County. And I'm going to let them kind of tell you a little bit about the organization, what they do, and where all they do it. But with us this morning is Ginger Griffith. She is the president and CEO of Partnership for Strong Families.
Good morning.
And of course, I had bios on both of them. Let me just say again, 20 years of experience with the Department of Family and Children's Services and Child Welfare. She is amazing, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about herself in a moment. And then with her is Pebbles Edelman. Pebbles is the Chief Clinical and Community Services, the Chief of Community Services and Clinical. And Pebbles is, and I'll tell a quick story, my literally very first day with the Children's Trust. So this is year 3. The organizations were having a meeting, and I sat there. I didn't know what the heck they were talking about. But I had a couple of takeaways that day, that these were really smart women with a heart for children and families, and the work that their organization does is really important to our community. So I left that meeting going, I don't know what all y'all talked about. That's what I said to my team. But what I do know is I'm so happy that we have a partnership with them. And so from that day to this one, that opinion or perception of what these ladies do and what Partnership does in partnership with the Trust hasn't changed. So, ladies, welcome. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Yes, I love it. Wow.
And so let's get started with this conversation. First of all, like I said, give us a little bit about your backgrounds, and then let's transition into what does Partnership for Strong Families do for our community or in our community.
Absolutely. So I'll start. Again, I'm Ginger Griffith. I was born and raised in this community, which is really, really important. I had an opportunity my whole life to sort of see the surrounding counties sort of unfold. And so I knew I was very passionate about working here from the very beginning, and sort of dove into, in a very traditional, I guess, fashion into social work here in the local communities, and just fell in love with it, and really quickly recognized there's nothing I could imagine myself ever doing. But then I wanted to learn it all, because that's what I am, not a know-it-all, but a learn-it-all. And so I began my lifelong journey professionally in just trying to learn what affects communities, what affects children and families, and how important those two institutions and just the well-being and outcomes for people in general really are. And so that journey took me not only here, but also working quite a bit in Tallahassee with the legislature and on policy for child welfare and at the national level as well. But I always knew I wanted to come right back here and put some of that knowledge to work. And so I had that privilege about 3 years ago to return back to Partnership for Strong Families, who has been in operation for more than 20 years, and put some of that knowledge to work right back in the community here, not just on the state and national level. So very excited about that. Our partnership with you guys has been extremely exciting in that time. And so we've gotten to do a lot of good work, and I couldn't imagine doing anything other than this work. So.
Awesomeness.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Well, welcome to this amazing segment that you don't stop surprising me with it. These are wonderful human beings making such an impact in our community. And what about you people?
Well, a little bit different of a pathway, but I started at Partnership, actually, it's crazy to think about this, 22 years ago. And before that, my career had been as a therapist for children and families, and children specifically who had experienced abuse. So that is where my heart is, and it's where it started. And after about 10 years of doing that, I was looking for a little break and had this opportunity to come to Partnership and work in quality assurance and operations, and fell in love, obviously, because it's been 22 years. And what I learned, even though my brain, I had first been trained as a therapist, is that my impact can really be even broader and greater doing this work at a community level and at a broader level in administration. And so here I am 22 years later, and I've had this amazing opportunity to work with the clinical side of things, even though it's not direct services, but also develop this prevention network, which has really been, I hope one day it feels like a legacy for me and the work I've really poured into it.
It is. Absolutely. It is now. So, well, thank you. I'll transition from these wonderful introductions to Partnership for Strong Families. Big company, big organization, rather, that does a lot of different things. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think where I probably should start is Partnership for Strong Families is a nonprofit who is very, very, very committed to protecting children, of course, supporting families, but also connecting people in communities to opportunity, which is really, really important. So let me give you a little bit of background. This actually all started 20 plus years ago in the space of child welfare specifically, formal child welfare. And some really smart people in the legislature and in Tallahassee got together and said, hey, doesn't it make sense that communities get to decide what happens within their communities around their children and their families and their resources? That makes a lot of sense. And so at that point, the state transitioned, and it was pretty big deal, pretty big news nationally for Florida to transition to a privatized community-based care agency model, which was a pretty big deal. And so, as you can imagine, 20 plus years ago, we were really focused on, okay, let's help the families who are experiencing the crisis, right? Let's help those families. And then we very quickly learned with child welfare research and experience, hey, you really need to move more upstream, more to the prevention realm in communities, and really focus on how to support those families in that way. And so over the last 20 years, not only have we sort of moved not just in the 13 counties surrounding, or 12 counties surrounding Alachua County, and served more than 15,000 families and caregivers and parents and patrons a year, but really trying to now focus on not just protection, but also what is it that helps someone thrive? What is it? And it's pretty clear what does that is actually the communities that they live in, their ability to access resources, all of those great things. And so the work that Partnership has really started to focus on is not only child protection, but into the prevention realm as well. And we've had about 20 plus years of experience of community-based care. And it's pretty amazing. And I think the partnerships that we've made in the community in doing that have been pretty amazing. And the Children's Trust has just added a layer to that that's been pretty incredible. So we're very thankful for that as well.
Awesomeness. We are thankful for you. So when we talk about prevention, what are some of the kinds of services and programs that you all participate in terms of prevention?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, again, we learned pretty quickly that you don't teach someone to swim when they're drowning. What makes the most sense is getting further upstream and having those lessons of swimming pretty early on. So prevention in child welfare is a pretty amazing, robust topic. It's powerful and it's important, and it's really interesting because one of the things that we discovered is you could pretty much predict the outcome and the trajectory of a child's life within the child welfare system based on the zip code that they lived in or the area that they lived in. And you ask yourself, why? Why would that be? And it really comes down to what access to resources do they have? What connections do they have? Do they get quality health care? Do they get quality education? Do they have food on their table? Do they have good, stable housing? All of those things. And so that shift from just child protection to getting further upstream was really absolutely necessary and has been tremendous, not only in what we can see in the data, but here in Florida and in Alachua County, but also nationally. And so getting into those prevention services and really trying to focus on what we know families need, and the needs are real. Yeah. They're really real. Yeah. And they're big. So, some of the biggest ones right now are really a connection through our resource centers to things like food, things like stable housing, mental health services, financial literacy, things like that are the real needs that we have families coming to the resource centers saying that they need. And so those prevention services from the resource center perspective are really, really important. But then we also have a more hands-on model as well within sort of more of our formal intervention system within partnership, which involves, more of a hand-holding and a journey with some case management and some things like that. But I want to make sure that folks have sort of a very broad sense of what we do. So prevention and resource center work is absolutely part of that. But when I say child protection, that's a pretty robust responsibility that we have here in Alachua County, as well as the other 12 counties, which includes, when kids get removed from their home, unfortunately, and come into the child welfare system, we have the sole responsibility of making sure that child is cared for, is nurtured, receives the services that they need, has the adequate placement that they need to go. Our responsibilities include the licensing preparation of those processes and includes the delivery of mental health services and the connection there, as well as parenting services, anything that family and child may need to be able to get back on their feet and be able to head back in the right direction and stay in that direction is a whole continuum of the services that we provide. So prevention is a big piece of that, and that's where we are trying to move all of our focus at, because we recognize that's what makes the difference in the long run.
Yeah, and realistically, we don't want to see families in crisis, right?
Absolutely.
We don't want to deal with that trauma. So if we can catch it on the front end and provide those resources, access, all those things you just talked about, then hopefully the numbers lessen on the back end. Let's talk family resource centers. Pebbles.
Yes.
Again, our very first meeting, right? I heard you say something about the model, and you talked about the 5 protective factors. Share with us a little bit more about what is a family resource center? What is that model? And what are those 5 protective factors?
So a family resource center, one of the really important things for us is that it's place-based. It's in neighborhoods where families need it the most, and also are often communities that historically have not had access to the services that all of us deserve. So we follow the data. We look at the indicators and the data that may indicate that families could really benefit from easy access to services. And so that's where we will put ourselves. And then we want to develop, a lot of people use the term because it matches up as a one-stop shop. And we want to destigmatize getting help. Asking for help is really hard to do. We all hold a lot of pride. But honestly, to me, when a parent, a father, a mother, a caregiver asks for help, it's brave. And it means that you want what's best for your family, right? So when they come in and they do that, and they're vulnerable enough to do that, we want to be welcoming. We want them to greet them with a smile and we want to make it easy to access services. We want it to feel different than maybe other experiences when they've had to line up and ask for help. That's not what we want. And so they come in, they become family, and if they need an immediate service, Ginger mentioned some of those, so it could be emergency clothing or food or even a fax. Sometimes to get a job or to get a legal thing taken care of, you have to have a fax, and that can be, or a notary. Things like that can really hold people up. Those things we want to do immediately. If they need something that may be a little more involved, we're going to sit down with a qualified staff member and we're going to work with them to determine what they need. We're not going to tell them, we're not the experts of their life, but we're going to facilitate that conversation and come up with what is a plan. Can we help you with budgeting? Can we help you with job assistance? Is there a computer, are you even having trouble developing your resume because you're not computer savvy yet? So it can be a really broad range. Affordable housing, Ginger mentioned, it is a very frustrating experience for any of us to have to navigate. Yeah. And if you already have a lot of other stressors, it can be completely overwhelming. So we're going to walk you through those opportunities. And so that's the experience. It should be easy to navigate, welcoming. We should be treating you with acceptance and dignity and respect, and honoring that you're coming in trying to get help for your family.
And people, you just mentioned something that I find this very interesting. Over the years, especially in my Latino community, I am Cuban, and in Cuba it's very popular that especially men's, we tend to think like if we ask for help, that's kind of like you're less masculinity or
weakness.
Or it's a weakness.
Yes.
Ask for help. That's a classic.
Yeah.
All right. And you know what? I found that even in this country, a lot of men also we think that way. Thankfully, I have learned in the past that actually, as you mentioned, people, that actually is a sign of strength.
Yes.
That you want to get better, that you want to overcome the obstacles within, right? Yes. And I don't know how many times, it doesn't matter how many times we say it, but it is very important to repeat that over and over again, so we all understand the importance of asking for help. Doesn't matter if you are a woman, you're a man. It just is a matter of actually, overcoming the challenges that just life is part of life.
It's
right?
a part of life.
And it's very important. When you said that, I always remember in the Latino community we have a lot of stigma with that, with mental health, going to therapy. If you said in a Cuban family, let's talk about my country because I am Cuban, and you said, oh no, because I am going to therapy, people look at you like, are you crazy? Or it's like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
You just need someone to talk with, and you need guidance. You need, so it is awesome that you guys are working on mental health, especially within the early ages. And with that, I want to ask you guys, what ages do you guys focus, or is it all ages, or just little kids, teenagers, adults also? How does it work with ages?
Absolutely all ages. And I think it's very interesting because we've noticed a few things in our different resource centers. Depending on the geography, it seems to have somewhat of a different age group that frequents there. But it absolutely is all ages, from birth all the way through to elderly support that is needed as well. We see that quite a bit in some of our other resource centers that are out in our rural areas, which are a really big thing. And I think the important point that you just made is a really important one. When someone initially comes through our door, it really is a time of crisis, usually, in which they're looking for something very concrete to solve a problem. And so I think it's good and great that the first most important thing we can do, regardless of their age when they walk through the door, is sort of reaffirm there are so many complex systems out there that you have to navigate to be able to even solve some of your, crisis solutions. That's what we're here to help you do first and foremost. And so we hope that helps with some of that stigma, right? It's just complex system navigation. And then as you move through some of those crises, as I mentioned before, when you're no longer drowning, right? Then you can kind of move into those more deeper conversations and connections that can can get to more mental health pieces.
Exactly, because we go through the stigma, the social stigma, and then that is part of our family stigma, and then it becomes our personal stigma.
That's
because
100%.
we just allow that to get within, like, oh no, if I go, I don't want to show everybody else that I am weak, because everybody else's opinion is so important, and it's actually more important than if I actually get better. And it's been said, the first step is just to recognize that I need help.
There you go.
And now Children's Trust of Alachua County, they felt like we are sharing through Children's Trust that Partnership for Strong Families can help you that are tuning in overcome those challenges, regardless your age. That's very important to know. So thank you, Marsha, for that.
No, thank partnership.
Thank you guys.
And Pebbles, you didn't talk specifically about the 5 factors, and then I want to share where our resource centers are. So the trust has invested with partnership well over $1 million. And for these resource centers, some that they operate, others, as Ginger just said, or Pebbles may have said it, in our rural communities. That is our goal. Our goal is to have a resource center in every community in the county. And so we have been growing this partnership because of the fact that partnership has a national model. They agreed to partner with the trust to act as consultants for some of our smaller communities who wanted to create resource centers there. And so their experts come with the trust staff into these communities, and we talk with the officials there and the community leaders there, and we are able to develop a resource center right where folks live. So they don't have to come to Gainesville, right, to receive services or to get help. So when I say that the work that partnership is doing is so crucial to our whole community thriving, I'm not exaggerating. This is great work that they've been able to do. So I'll turn it back over to Pebbles.
So yes, Marsha, and I apologize. I get carried away when I talk about the centers. So our framework it's built around the protective factor framework, and that is research informed. And if we can increase, and I'll name them, the protective factors in families, the idea is then the likelihood of crises and stressors happening to such an extent that abuse or neglect would occur is decreased. So that's the goal, right? Overall goal. There's many others as well. And those 5 protective factors are parental resilience. So we have services that can be parenting, but it also can just be support and connections. And sharing things informally about how to parent during times of stress. Social connections is a big one. And that is one, I'll be honest, coming in as a clinician, that wasn't on my brain at all, the importance of social connections. I think there's other cultures that recognize that much more readily than maybe I did and understood. So we have a lot of focus on that, whether it's holiday celebrations with children and families, community dinners, come and sit down at a table with us and eat. We have baby showers where any pregnant mom can come in and we're celebrating her because maybe no one else is. But we're also bringing in newborn and early childhood partners who can provide education and assistance and referrals. So that's the social connections, knowledge of parenting development. So we provide education along with those other things about why this is going to be hard work. You have a newborn. It's not going to be easy. Here's what to expect, and here's how you can respond, and here's how we can help you. And then concrete support in times of need. Ginger's talked about that quite a bit. A lot of times people are coming in wanting those concrete supports up front, and we're going to provide those. But overall, our goal is to then build long-term stability and long-term self-sufficiency. So we may start with emergency food or clothing or faxing, but we're going to, over time, help you with your budgeting and job stability, et cetera. And then the last protective factor is social and emotional competence of children. So that is where we have an after-school program. It's not just tutoring and after school, it's also enrichment activities. We have capoeira, we have just different activities, some even meditation and yoga and really fun things. The Cade Museum comes in. We haven't talked about our partners yet, but we have so many partners that come in, and that's how we work on the social and emotional competence of children.
Yeah, thank you. I thought it was so important for us to share those protective factors, because really it touches on every aspect, right, of life for a family, for children. So, and it goes right back to what you were talking about. You know, culturally, we're different, right? We're all different. And so to recognize and meet you where you are is so very important with the work that they've been able to do.
And I always love to ask this question to all organizations that come, because this is a segment that I love deeply, because Children's Trust, it is spotlighting and amplifying voices within our community, bringing amazing organizations such as Partnership for Strong Families. So what is the impact that Children's Trust have made within your organization, such as what is actually taking place right now, that you guys are able to deliver quality service? Let's talk about the impact, by Children's Trust for Partnership for Strong Families.
Well, I'll just start out with say it's amazing.
Yes.
And I'm going to give you a big picture, and then I'm sure Pebbles can go into a lot more detail. I don't think what maybe even Marcia recognizes in terms of the way that the Children's Trust has impacted our agency and our ability to do our work is that certainly we all are very aware of how important prevention is, how important community is, and this whole model of community-based care is built on that. However, there's very limited resources, as you can imagine, to care for all of the kids and all of the families that need it in the community. And so even with the work that we did before our partnership, those resources were stretched very thin, and we were very limited in terms of what we were able to do and how much we were able to expand. And I think where the Children's Trust has had the most impact is, one, partnering with us to say, this is the number one priority for us, is the children and families in this community, and we want to figure out a way to help you help them too, and investing in that. And so that helped us be able to say, okay, let's breathe a little bit. Let's really figure out how we can innovate, how we can get more focused on this, and stop worrying so much about how to make it all work. And so I think that support has been tremendous at a macro level of just child welfare and the agency as a whole. But at the very individual level of the community, I think it's even bigger. So I'm sure Pebbles has some thoughts about that.
Honestly, what I think about is really what Ginger was saying, that at the time the help from the Children's Trust came in, we were vulnerable because of shifts in funding and that lack of resources on the front end, upstream. And so I think of it sometimes, often actually, that we may not be able to be here doing this work without the children's support, the Children's Trust support. But it has always from the beginning been a very positive, collaborative process. And I think that's because we have shared values, we have overlapping missions, so it makes it easy. We also have a lot of respect in the staff, starting with you, Marcia, and with Christy and so many others, and are able to both learn from the technical assistance and the work and the trainings that you all provide. And I think that's mutual, that we learn from each other and we both are better because of each other. And yes, on the individual, neighborhood, and community level, last year alone, between the two centers in Alachua County, plus our community community navigation program and our new Help Me Grow program, we served over 18,000 patrons. 18,000. It's a lot. And it's busy. I've been at the SWAG Family Resource Center twice this week, and let me tell you, that place is vibrating. I mean, it gets really busy. And that is really the impact. Right. And then the third thing I'll mention about that is we just last year finished up a 5-year Children's Bureau federal grant. There were only 8 in the country. We were lucky enough to be awarded one of those, and it was over a 5-year period. And what that research showed us at the end is that this work absolutely is impacting for the families that come in and have interactions and receive services from the Children's Trust. There are fewer in a very statistically significant way. There are fewer hotline calls on those families. There are fewer incidents of verified abuse or neglect. And then maybe most importantly, there are hardly any removals. It was I think it was a 94% decrease with those families that had formerly been involved with child welfare once they started having interactions with us. So I think that's probably the greatest, most profound, measurable, research-based impact that we've had. And again, that work is because of the support from the Children's Trust.
And I want to add one more thing, and you touched on this earlier. The other, I think, really big impact, to answer your question very directly too, is the very innovative thought about even if you don't have a brick and mortar resource center in a more urban area, the Children's Trust's thought process about how to expand and get to those more rural areas that you talked about, Marcia, I think is probably one of the most exciting new sort of developments that we've sort of seen in taking those services and that consulting piece to them. And I don't think we could have ever done that without you guys. So the impact has been pretty tremendous. I think we've said that a few times over.
How do you feel when you hear that, Marcia?
Well, listen, I am, again, Pebbles, I think that very first meeting, you were talking about the grant. So I was sitting here going, that's what you all were talking about 3 years ago when I got here. And you were talking about how the data was being collected and the best way to do it and what you could and couldn't do. And again, some of it was going over my head because I wasn't familiar. But I knew enough to understand that this work was so very important, and the information, the data you were going to collect was going to show us the impact. So I feel phenomenal because I know I've had the pleasure of getting to know these young ladies and their team, and I know the hearts of the people we work with. That, for me, quite frankly, Elio, really makes this work important. When you know that the people who are providing the services, they care, they have a heart for the people of our community, then there's no reason for us not to have respect for one another. There's no reason for us not to have meetings about how to expand and do better and more, because we do share values. So being able to sit with them to talk about the work that we've collectively been able to do makes my heart sing.
That's amazing. I love it. Now you see why I am fired up about this segment every month. Wow. Thank you so much, Marcia, Ginger, and Peebles. This is a legacy right here. Yeah. Talk about legacy, right? This all is legacy right here. The three of you guys is amazing. Partnership for Strong Families here live from the Children's Trust Studios in Tu Fiesta Radio. Exciting beginning of the 2026 year, and we know it's going to be an amazing year. We have any announcement, any events coming up, anything that we would love to share before we go?
Well, I will just tell everybody that our annual report is going to be out both in hard copy and online. So look for a recap of 2025 and the wonderful work of our partners, folks like Partnership for Strong Families and about 70 others here in the community. Last year was a great year. We are very proud of what we were able to accomplish. And as we said at the top of the show, let's go. 2026, there's more to do.
Yes, it is. And we have some people to say hello. Actually, Tootie watching from Jacksonville is saying hello and good morning on our Facebook. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, as well as 95.7. Saying good morning to our children in Strong Alachua County, hugs to Marsha and the entire team and Partnership for Strong Families. Thank you, Reina Ordóñez. Cheryl is also here with us, and we have someone else that is saying good morning, David. Sherman, the credible messenger of Florida. I can't wait to network with you all. Dios los bendiga. God bless you. Okay, a little bit Spanish. I love it. Thank you, guys. Buenos dias, everybody. Thank you, Peebles. Thank you, Ginger. Thank you, Marcia. What an amazing first segment of Children's Trust. Remember, children at the Children's Trust Studios every single month, spotlighting a wonderful organization sound and amplifying voices within our community.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I would like for Pebbles and or Ginger to share where folks can find out more about the resource centers.
Sure. So the easiest way probably is just to go onto our website. And I'm going to say the letters, but they all sound the same. So it's pfsf.org/resource centers, or you can just look up Partnership for Strong Families, Alachua County. On our website, there's a whole resource center section. All of our locations will be listed there with phone numbers, and you can reach out or just walk in. It's open. You can come in, and it will also show our schedules for when we're in the outlying rural areas, which is usually one day a week. Please reach out for help, any kind of help. Elio said it great earlier. We all need help at some point. And if you don't need help, we love our volunteers.
Yes,
so there's also
absolutely.
opportunities to both volunteer or support or give back in other ways. Give me a call. Talk to us about that as well.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So now you know. Go and visit Partnership for Strong Families website and get that help that we all need. Let me tell you, at least once in life, we all need help. Yeah. And if you know anyone that needs that help, so you know what direction to take. So let's have a rest of your wonderful Wednesday. It is already January 7th. It is 10:03 in the morning. And what a beautiful way, right? To kick off this morning. Yes. Thank you, Pebbles, Ginger, and Marsha.
Thank you.
Once
Happy
again.
New Year.
Happy New Year. Nos vemos, mi gente.
Tu Fiesta Radio. Tu Fiesta Radio, celebrando nuestra música. La casa de los latinos en Gainesville, Florida, 95.7. Tu Fiesta Radio.
Saludos mis hermanos latinos, soy Gilberto Santa Rosa y los invito a sintonizar Tu Fiesta Radio.
Hola, ¿qué tal? It's your girl Becky G. Los quiero mucho.
Soy Camilo. Tú sabes cómo va, te habla Nicky Jam.
Hola, soy Shakira.
Dímelo. Y nosotros somos el grupo Manana.
Soy Melina León, sintoniza en Tu Fiesta Radio.
Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Yo soy Juanes.
Somos Flor del Tabaco y los invitamos a sintonizar Tu Fiesta Radio.
La variedad 24/7.
Tu Fiesta Radio, celebrando nuestra música. La casa de los latinos en Gainesville, Florida, 95.7. Tu Fiesta Radio.
No. Mira lo que les he hecho a mi camioneta. Esto es tu culpa.
Yo estaba primero saliendo y usted me chocó a mí.
No.
Fuiste tú.
Yo voy a llamar ahora mismo a Jeffrey Melton, mi abogado.
Jeffrey, mi esposo, llámalo.
Meldon Law habla Jeffrey.
Una mujer loca aquí. Me acaba de tocar la camioneta.
Jeffrey,
¿Un cliente nuevo? Sí, pero un poco complicado.
Saludos mis hermanos latinos, soy Gilberto Santa Rosa y los invito a sintonizar Tu Fiesta Radio.
Hola, ¿qué tal? It's your girl Becky G. Los quiero mucho.
Soy Camilo. Tú sabes cómo va, te habla Nicky Jam.
Hola, soy Shakira.
Dímelo. Y nosotros somos el grupo Manana.
Soy Melina León, sintoniza en Tu Fiesta Radio.
Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Yo soy Juanes.
Somos Flor del Tabaco y los invitamos a sintonizar Tu Fiesta Radio.
La variedad 24/7.
Tu Fiesta Radio, celebrando nuestra música. La casa de los latinos en Gainesville, Florida, 95.7. Tu Fiesta Radio.
We're the Martin family, and we've been members of Campus USA since 1998.
It's very important to have a personal relationship with anyone you're doing business with. They don't try to guide you in another direction when they know who you are and what you're trying to do.
I think they give a lot of people a chance that other financial institutions would not.
Everyone, helps you. Make sure you have what you need, exactly what you want, in the way that you want it.
I don't feel like a customer at campus. I feel like I'm a member of the family.